Well, we've now received the first budget of the Abbott Hockey government, and they've made their intentions very clear of what they want to do to not just Australia's government finances, but of course broader structural changes to the way our economy works. The budget really needs to be divided into two sections. One is the traditional 4-year forward estimates, and then there's the longer term perspective where there were quite a few announcements that affect from 2018-19 and beyond. So focusing on the short term, because that's what they're going to be trying to legislate for, and of course that's what will impact the economy and people in Australia over the course of the next few years, is there actually wasn't a huge amount of change to the aggregate budget numbers. There is some improvement in the budgets in years 3-4 that gets us back to a balanced position at the end of those 4-year forward estimates. There was a lot of announcements that were leaked ahead of the budget, and of course they were all in the budget. There wasn't a lot of new announcements, and that means that we've seen significant savings over the course of the next 4 years. Of the spending cuts and savings that they've made, most of it has come through reductions in spending. Most of it has come through reductions in what many would refer to as the welfare sector. There's been a whole range of different arrangements that have been put in place to reduce the welfare budget. We've also got obviously the petrol excise, the deficit levy on high income earners, and a number of other small changes. Ironically, the biggest individual saving program in the next 4 years is reduction in foreign aid, which is worth roughly $8 billion of the $36 billion in savings. Welfare savings all up are larger than that over a whole range of programs. In terms of what this means for the government's financial position, is that it's a very strong position. That is, the budget deficit, which is currently around 3% of GDP, will shrink to a balanced position over 4 years. And of course, that obviously also means that the government's debt levels will stabilise reasonably quickly. In terms of the economy, that big sort of quick tightening of fiscal policy is unlikely to have major implications for what looks like to be a recovering economy. The aggregate contraction of fiscal policy is spread out over each year. That is, we see about 0.5% of GDP contraction in the government's financial position over the 4 years. But a lot of this will be absorbed in lower savings. Some of it isn't even relevant for the domestic economy, that is savings to foreign aid programs. So our judgment is that this will be a minor headwind to what is otherwise a recovering economy over the next few years. In terms of the longer term programs and structural reforms, this is really the reform program of the Abbott Hockey government. And although some of the short-term measures around welfare payments, family tax benefits, this sort of thing, hint at what they're trying to do in terms of reducing the size of government, reducing the welfare bill for the overall community, the real structural savings kick in on the sort of 4 or 5 year plus horizon. And of course, there's many interesting elements to their proposals on the longer term, such as a significant reduction in Commonwealth government commitments in health and education, which presumably will need to be taken up by the states unless there's a big drop in service levels there. And these, of course, will not need to be legislated for and will be open to significant debate over the years ahead. I think in terms of the impact of this budget on the economy and financial markets, it will be a modest negative for the economy, but not that significant. And of course, it'll reinforce that this government's serious about getting its financial position in order.